looking at Numbers chapter 10 today. And the beginning is talking about these trumpets that were made, and they were made to signal the camp. 12 tribes and the Levites, when it's time to go, when it's time to pack up, when it's time to close off. I mean, you've got a massive amount of people spread over a huge area pre-cell phone. And so these trumpets were used to signal the camp to kind of help them stay together as they would travel through the wilderness. Now, what's also interesting here is Moses' brother-in-law, who's got a name that, I don't know, I mean, as Christians, there's some families in particular, like just love naming their kids after biblical characters. Nothing wrong with that. Nothing, just don't have to, can. Your kids, name them how you want. I've never met a Hobab yet. That would actually make me kind of feel a little happy inside, but also maybe a little sad for the kid. Moses goes to his brother-in-law, Hobab, and asks, hey, you know the wilderness. Why don't you guide us? My thought immediately when I read this again, I don't know if I've ever remembered this detail. It's amazing when you start reading the scriptures over and over. You just keep uncovering different layers. Didn't they have a pillar of cloud and fire? That's what my immediate thought was. And again, for me, it's a reminder of how God wants to work with us. We have this picture, at least I grew up with this picture, and I think until maybe, when I sat down to kind of prepare for this devotional, had this picture of the pillar of cloud and fire, just, God moves and the nation follows, and it's just kind of this, like, God leads, I follow. But Hobab throws a wrinkle into this. What's Hobab's job as a wilderness guide if God's doing the leading? And what I think is going on here is a picture of, what I know is going on is a picture of how God works with us and God wants to use us. He's given us gifts. He's given us experiences, whether it's He's allowed us to walk through things that we wish we maybe wouldn't have, but God can redeem that, or God has, shaped us in a particular way and we can then bless others through that as well. But Hobab was a wilderness guide. He knew where the places would be to camp. And again, remember, these are camps that are stretching over square miles. And so we have this picture of God leading and Hobab kind of in cooperation, because he's not going to lead where God's not going, but kind of going to the tribes like, this would be a good spot. Hey, there's water over here. Yep. Because God's pillar is just on a very fixed point. Hobab would have had a role cooperating with God to help the people find their rest as they camped around the tabernacle. And so here, the last part I just want to end with just looking at what Moses would say each time God would move and then God would stop. Verses 35 and 36 of Numbers 10. Whenever the ark set out, because that's where the pillar kind of resided on top of, whenever the ark of the covenant set out, Moses said, rise up, O Lord, may your enemies be scattered, may your foes flee before you. And so it's kind of like, God, make our path straight. God, give us traveling mercies. That's a phrase some of us have used at times. God, make the way clear. Because if your enemies flee from you, we're safe. God, make the way for us. And then at the end, whenever it came to rest, whenever the pillar of cloud or fire stopped, you go, return, O Lord, Moses would say, to the countless thousands of Israel. God, keep staying with us. Keep being the center of our community. Keep being the center of your people. Again, I've mentioned this again already in previous devotionals, but I'm going to remind us of this again. How do you keep God at the center? Is there something that you're working on? Maybe it's a discipline or a practice that you're just trying to incorporate into your life. Keep going on it. if you feel like you've kind of just, you're stuck, you feel kind of plateaued, you just, God, I want to see more. Ask God, is there an area of my life? Is there a practice you're wanting me to start? Talk with some other believers. But how do you keep God at the center? Or how are you struggling to keep God at the center? And as iron sharpens iron, as Proverbs would say, you can sharpen one another. We got to keep God at the center because he is. And so, may the Lord bless you and keep you today. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord be gracious to you. And today would you know his peace. God bless.